גם אם זה לא אתה, אני שומעת את קולך, שומעת הבטחה, ואת הכל לקחת לי, בינתיים יושבת מחכה, לוחשת רק לך, חזור אליי בבקשה.
Parade with torn souls, we've made our way here to share the memory of those who lost their loved ones. The October 7th massacre and the war have lit the wounds of grief that have never sealed. On the morning of October 7th, we started to receive fractions of information and messages and sirens. We noticed the evil in front of our eyes, a massacre, kidnapping and torturing with tortured souls. Many families joined the family of the bereaved. Our hearts are with our brothers and sisters held in Gaza, and also we learned of stories of heroism that express our strength as a nation that knows how to unite in difficult times. Heroes ran into the inferno in moments of danger to save their brothers and sisters without knowing them, out of the love of the nation and devotion. Heroes that already found refuge but returned to the fire just to save others. And so are there families who decided to grow out of the loss and the pain. The same sacred love appears in numerous places in our history. The same woman covering with her body over children that are not even hers. The heroes that stop terrorists with their own bodies. From the day of the establishment of the state, we've paid a heavy price. On October 7th, we received a shocking reminder of what we're facing. Also, a pure and proud memory of us, of the people of eternity, Mr. President Isaac Herzog and his wife, Mr. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Speaker of Knesset Amir Ohana and his partner. On behalf of the Supreme Court, Uzi Fogelman, Chief Rabbi, Minister Yav Ben-Tzur, Head of the Zionist Organization, Yaakov Chaguel, Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi, Commissioner of the Police Yaakov Shabtai, Jerusalem Mayor, Head of the Shin Bet Ronen Bar, Head of the Mossad David Barnea, the State Comptroller, the Prison Commissioner, the Fire and Rescue Commissioner, diplomats, Chairman of the Bereaved Families Organization, A.B. Moses, Commissioner of the National Insurance, Bereaved Families, distinguished guests. I opened the National Memorial Ceremony for the victims of terror to light the torch of memory. Guests are being asked to stand up. The torch of memory will be lit by Shani Zarka, the wife of Michael Ben Saadon, and Miki Avitan on Monday, January 2007. A terrorist entered Israel through Egypt and exploded. 3 people were killed, including the manager of the bakery, Michael Ben Saadon. Dor Avitan, a young man, worked at the Nova party. At 8 a.m., in the midst of the terror attack, he spoke for the last time with his mother. For 6 days, he was pronounced missing until the bitter news came.
תהילים פרק ט"ז מפי הרב הראשי לצה"ל,
Tehillim
תת-אלוף
of
הרב אייל קרים.
the chief rabbi, Eyal Krim.
נכתם לדוד, שומרני אל כי חסיתי בך. אמרת לה אדוני, אדוני אתה, טובתי בלעליך. לקדושים אשר בארץ המה, ואדירי כל חפצי בם. ירבו עצבותם אחר מארו, בלסיך נזקיהם מדם, ובלשא את שמותם על שפתי. אדוני מנת חלקי וחוסי, אתה תומך גורלי. חבלים נפלו לי בנעימים, אף נחלת שפרה עליי. אברך את אדוני אשר יעצני, אף לילות תסרוני חיליותי. שיפיתי אדוני לנגדי תמיד, כי מימיני בא למות. לכן שמח ליבי ויגל כבודי, אף בשרי ישכון לבטח. כי לא תעזוב נפשי לשאול, לא תיתן חסידך לראות שחת. תודיעני אור החיים, סוב השמחות את פניך, נעימות בימינך נצח.
המשמר יעבור לנוח, עמוד נוח.
אמירת קדיש מפי מר
A
בנימין
prayer of
רחמים,
Kaddish
אביו של
by
אביאל שלום רחמים.
Binyamin Rachamim, father of Avshalom Rachamim, of blessed memory. Aviel, a volunteer of Yedidim organization, a lover of people who dedicated his life to help people, celebrated at the Nova party on October 7th. Around 6:40 a.m. after the Hamas attack began, he escaped towards his home and met with terrorists. Himself and his friend Ido Benzino were murdered on the spot.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמדי ורק יראותי וימליך מלכותי ויצמח פורקני ויקרב משיחי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואיברו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה שירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה חיים ושבע וישועה ונחמה ושזבה ורפואה וגאולה וסליחה וכפרה ורווח והצלה לנו ולכל עמו ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו וברחמיו יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ואמרו אמן. אביאל,
Aviel,
אני אוהב אותך,
I
אנחנו
love you.
אוהבים אותך
We love you
ומתגעגעים
and we
אליך.
miss you.
המשמר יעבור לנוח, עמוד, נוח.
A prayer for the dead, God full of mercy, by the Chief IDF cantor, Shai Abramson.
המשמר יחטיף את נשקו, אחטף.
מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע, מאירים ומזהירים, לנשמות הקדושים חללי פעולות האיבה, ובתוכם שליחי המדינה בארץ ומחוצה לה, אנשים ונשים, ילדים וילדות שנרצחו בארץ ומחוצה לה בידי המרצחים מארגוני הטרור, בעבור שאנו מתפללים לעילוי נשמותיהם בגן עדן תהא מנוחתם, לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, וייצור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו ושלום על מי שקברותם, ויעמדו לגורלם לקץ הימים, ונאמר אמן.
נא לשבת.
Please be seated. I wish to invite the respectable President Isaac Herzog to speak. Dear beloved bereaved families, the wounded of terror, Prime Minister, Speaker of the Knesset and his partner, representative of the Supreme Court and his wife, respectable rabbis, ministers and members of Knesset, heads of national institutions, heads of security systems, intelligence, head of the IDF, mayor of Jerusalem, representative of the national insurance, ambassadors, diplomatic representatives, heads of the organization of terror victims, especially you, A.B. Moses, citizens of Israel. We meet today with our hearts overwhelmed, scarred and shocked. We come together when we're still far from internalizing, from understanding, from expressing in words the burden of pain that we've been carrying since October 7th. The air of Mount Herzl in the month of May is unlike the air anywhere else in the world. It's thick, heavy, composed of the precise mixture of the scent of evergreen trees, tears, ash and flowers, an impossible blend of death and life, of pain and love, of longing and immense sorrow, together with pride and national edifice we've shaped. The sons and daughters of families who sacrificed their loved ones in the acts of terror that have been haunting us since the dawn of our state. You carry them throughout the year, every day, every minute. And every year on this sacred day, we too gather and stand here with you to breathe the air of Mount Herzl together. Our shoulders are down from the weight of profound sorrow, and yet at the same time we stand tall with the privilege of being part of such people, a people with such sons and daughters. This year, in the most heinous terror attack since the establishment of the state, many families, hundreds of children, young boys and girls, elderly, mothers and fathers, teenagers, beautiful, kind, full of life, belief, ideas, and different lifestyles and diverse views. As I said last night at the Western Wall, in the spirit of the prayer, Unetaneh Tokef, which was recited on Simchat Torah prior to the attack, we raised the memory of those who were murdered, some at the doorstep and some at the shelters, some at the greenhouse and some in a city, in the bus stop or in a police station, those in the car and those in shelters, those in the kibbutz and those at the party, some at the shopping center or in the fields, some by fire and some by missiles and rockets, some in tunnels and some in hiding. With us today a representative of families who lost their loved ones in various acts of terror. On October 7th at the Nova party, we lost hundreds of young men and women in one terrible event, symbolizing the mixture between the love of life and hatred. So many faces of cruelty, in pain, taken from us, our sons and daughters, our beloved. The attack of October 7th was an assault on our right and sovereignty in our homeland, one and only state of Israel. As in every generation, adversaries rise up to annihilate us. At this sacred moment, we come together, generations of grieving families from all walks of the Israeli society who have lost their loved ones in murderous terror attacks, in the ongoing struggle which tears our heart for our existence here in this cherished land. In one breath of air, on this day, we grieve the victims of October 7th, in the south, in the north, in Judea and Samaria, all over the country, as well as the victims of hostile acts from the early days of the land till today. Sorrow with sorrow, tears with tears. Last month, I was honored to host the survivors of the terrible attack in Kiryat Shmona 50 years ago, in which terrorists from Lebanon infiltrated the city and murdered 11 Israelis in their homes. I was moved to meet Iris Shitrit. She was just 9 years old when the terrorist entered her home. Her father, Yosef, was at work, and she hid in a closet for hours with two of her brothers, hearing how the terrorists are murdering her mother and 3 of her soldiers, our brothers. Her words deeply touched me as she spoke about her trauma as a 9-year-old, how she said goodbye to her mother and sisters as they died in front of her eyes, and her youngest brother escaped from the closet and was shot dead. I thought about what the children were forced to endure. On October 7th, the horrifying stories from Nir Oz, Be'eri, and Kfar Aza, and Netiv HaAsara, and Sderot, and Ofakim, and Netivot, and the other communities in the western Negev. I thought in sorrow and said to myself, "Dear God, as then, so now." But Iris continued with intensity and said, "I was just 9 years old, but I understood that if I don't take the role of the responsible adult, I would lose my father as well, God forbid. I fought for him. We rose from the depth of mourning, and we chose life. We chose hope and the path that would show our enemies, those bloodthirsty enemies, that they would not break us, they would not defeat us." And she added, "The eternal people do not fear. Even if the road is long, it's difficult, and it's painful, we will beat them as we have done until today. We are the eternal people." This is what Iris said. Her words echo. It is the Israeli spirit that passes from one generation to another. It will overcome everything. This time as well. We knew bitterness of blood and fire and smoke, but I'm sure that together, and only together, we will rebuild. Beloved families, no one can stand in your shoes. No one can truly understand the magnitude of the void that opened in your life. I pray every day that we will be worthy as individuals and as a society for your immense sacrifice. Our role of the entire state of Israel is to support you and to help you with your challenges, each with his needs, also with our moral duty for all the wounded of the terror attacks, all that need help, knowledge and care by all of us in order to recover and return to life. In this recovery that is necessary for all of us is not just about looking at the future, but also about fixing the present. Our present will not be complete. Our hearts will not heal until all the hostages are returned. Our beloved brothers and sisters who are in distress, in captivity, we must return them all home. Citizens and soldiers, those who are alive and those who we need to bring to rest in Israel. Their return is necessary for the repair and the growth of all of us, the people of Israel, who carry the hostages on their hearts wherever we go. May the souls of the victims of the enemy's attacks bound in the bond of life forever, in their memory, and for their sake, we will add life here in this good land. Mr. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Distinguished President Isaac Herzog, I will do as you order and say, distinguished guests, headed by my brothers and sisters of the family of grief, dear families of the terror victims, and those who are wounded, fighting in their journey of recovery. I embrace each and every one of you. Each and every one of you is dear to me as a family. Each victim, every wounded, shatters my heart and that of the entire people of Israel. I know your grief. I know the pain of every family. We stand together today, and we stand together forever. A massive wave of terror shattered on the communities of the Western Negev on October 7th, Simchat Torah holiday. Even in the terms of our enemy's cruelty since the mid-19th century, then the first terror attack began. Even since then, the acts of horror on that black day broke new records. We will never forget the massacre of the families, the massacre of the babies, the children, the elderly, the women, the men. We will not forget the abuse, the rape, the kidnapping, the molesting of the bodies, the devastation and the fire, the crimes against our people, the crimes against humanity. We will not forget, and we will not let anyone in the world forget that. We do not forget for one moment the hostages. We operate all the time to return them all, those who are alive and those who are dead, to bring them all home. We returned half of them, and we will return all of them. There is one episode that illustrates to me and to many others the depth of barbarism and evil we face. I refer to that chilling recording of the despised terrorist who calls his father in Gaza from the telephone of a woman he murdered, a woman near Kibbutz Mefalsim, and he screams with pride, "I killed her and her husband. With my own hands I killed 10 Jews." And from the other side of the phone, his father and the rest of his family cheer, congratulate him over and over again. On that black day, the killers and their supporters danced on the blood. But they do not dance today anymore. They feel our strength all over the Gaza Strip. We will not stop until we will collapse the Hamas terror regime. We will hold them accountable, the perpetrators of the attack, to the last one of them. We will chop their hands off so that it is not risen towards us. We will reconstruct the Gaza border communities that will be big and thriving and alive, even greater than what it was. Several months ago, I've laid a cornerstone with the heads of the communities at the community of Ophir in Sdot Negev. The community of Ophir is named after the head of the Shara Negev Council, Ophir Liebstein, who fell in battles together with his son Nitzan on October 7th. I promised on that ceremony that we will not build one community. We will build many communities in the Gaza border communities and everywhere in our country, the state of Israel. But all of this does not hide the heavy loss. Like the price of previous years, this year we've lost many hundreds of wonderful people, pioneers, settlers of the Negev, young people who came to celebrate at the music festival, Jews and non-Jews, and also citizens of other countries who found themselves in the inferno. And this year, more than any other year, the closeness between those who fell in battle in uniform and non-uniform, that closeness is present and real. The episode that was written in our national story in these months encapsulates all of them, because they all stood together in one front against evil. How can you separate between IDF fighters and security forces and members of the security squads of the kibbutzes and other citizens who were asked together to stop the bloodthirsty terrorists? How can you separate between heroism of policemen in Sderot who fought till the last bullet and the bravery of those who attended the party, like a nurse Shapira, who tried to push back the terrorists with bare hands? How can you separate between a brother and a brother, or a man and his son, the brothers Slotsky, the brothers of Ofakim, the father and son of Ochayon family? They all worked together to save life and fought vigorously until their death. At the moment of truth, in these moments, it was proven that we are all brothers. Beyond every argument, without any difference of opinion, we are all brothers. This is how our enemies see us. This is how those who are looking to kill us see us. This is how they see us, and this is how we shall see ourselves. That's how the team of Kalmanzon from Otniel, near Hebron, when it fought bravely in Kibbutz Be'eri. And that's how it happened in other places. I was moved to see the thank you letter given by the residents of Kfar Aza to the family, to the Run family from the Samaria Hills. They sent the letter after the falling of their loved ones, Or Yosef Ran, of the Devan unit. An entire kibbutz salutes the men who ran to save lives without thinking about their personal life, kibbutzniks and settlers and kibbutzniks. Brothers we are. Everybody must recognize this. My brothers and sisters, beloved families, in Kfar Aza, from the house of Shimon and Anat el-Kabetz, comes out a strong message to all of those who lost the lives of their loved ones. After the daughter Sivan and her partner Naor were murdered on that day of the attack, Shimon el-Kabetz wrote to me, "The terrorists have murdered you, but they did not murder who you were for all of us. You cannot murder beauty and values. You cannot cut good heart and love. You cannot burn knowledge and wisdom." I know that each of the families here, and those who are not here, I know that each and every one of you has such a treasure, a valuable treasure. It was and still exists. All of these treasures we will gather in one place. We will gather them in the Hall of Memory for the victims of terror that will be built on this mountain, Mount Herzl. Myself and my government have the honor of promoting the new site together with the Organization of Victims of Terror. This is not a national duty. This is a national duty we decided on before this year, but it became even more relevant after October 7th. It will execute. Abi, my dear, the government will complete the necessary budget to establish this sacred site on this moment. In the new site will be the memory of the victims of terror from their special spirit. We will gain strength for the remaining building of this country. This is how Iris Chaim said. This is what Iris Chaim said. The unforgettable mother of Yotam, unforgettable Yotam. We must choose light and not the whole. I wish a speedy recovery to all the wounded, the brave wounded, and I raise a strengthening arm hand to each and every one of you. We will cherish in our hearts forever the victims of terror, the lovers of the people and the state. May their memory be a blessing.